The stars had never seemed so close yet so threatening. Captain Sarah Mitchell stood on the bridge of the Endeavor's Hope, watching the viewing screen with a mixture of wonder and growing concern. After 200 years of dreaming, humanity had finally broken the light barrier and reached beyond their solar system. They had traveled to Alpha Centauri, hoping to find new worlds, new resources, and perhaps even new friends among the stars. They found something else entirely. The alien ships appeared without warning. One moment the scanners showed empty space. The next, 12 massive vessels materialized around the human exploration ship like predators surrounding prey. Each alien craft dwarfed the Endeavor's Hope, their hulls gleaming with colors that seemed to shift and change in ways that hurt human eyes to watch. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stepped forward, smoothing her formal jacket with nervous hands. This was the moment humanity had prepared for since the first radio telescopes pointed skyward. First contact, the beginning of Earth's journey into a larger galactic community. "Open a channel," she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear she felt. "All frequencies. Let them know we come in peace." The communication officer nodded and activated the broadcast. Elena took a deep breath and began speaking the carefully prepared greeting that had been written by linguists, diplomats, and scientists from every nation on Earth. "Greetings from the people of Earth. We are explorers and seekers of knowledge. We come with open hearts and extended hands, hoping to learn from you and share what we know. We mean you no harm and wish only for peaceful contact and friendship among the stars." For a long moment there was only silence. Then the main view screen flickered to life. The alien that appeared was tall and reptilian, with scales that shimmered like polished bronze. Its eyes were vertical slits of burning orange, and when it spoke, its mouth revealed rows of sharp teeth. The translation software struggled for a moment before finding patterns in the alien's language. "I am Commander Velkoth of the Zrathi Empire, speaking for the Galactic Concordat," the alien said. Its voice carried a tone that made Elena's skin crawl. It was the sound of someone talking to an insect they were deciding whether to crush. "We have been watching your pathetic world for 60 of your years. We know what you are." Elena felt her diplomatic smile falter. This was not going as planned. "Then you know we are a young species eager to learn and grow. We hope to join the galactic community as friends and partners." Velkoth made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter, though it sounded more like rocks grinding together. "Join partners?" The alien leaned forward, its massive form filling the screen. "You misunderstand your position, human. The Concordat does not accept warlike primitives into its ranks. We have seen your history, your endless conflicts, your weapons, your violence. You are children playing with fire, and you have no place among civilized species." Captain Mitchell's hands clenched into fists at her sides, but Elena raised a hand slightly, signaling her to remain calm. "Every species has a violent past," Elena replied carefully. "We have grown beyond our wars. We have united our world and reached for the stars together. Surely that counts for something." "United?" Velkoth's eyes narrowed. "You achieved global peace only 40 years ago, after nearly destroying yourselves with atomic weapons. The Zrathi achieved peace 3,000 years before your species learned to make fire. The youngest member of the Concordat had been exploring space for 2 millennia, before your ancestors left the trees. You are not ready. You may never be ready." Another voice joined the conversation. The screen split to show a different alien, this one resembling a floating jellyfish with dozens of tentacles and bioluminescent patterns pulsing across its transparent body. "The Concordat Council has reviewed Earth's development," it said in a softer, almost sad tone. "While we acknowledge your recent progress, the majority opinion is clear. Humanity poses a potential threat to galactic stability." "A threat?" Elena's diplomatic composure began to crack. "We have 12 exploration ships, 12. How could we possibly threaten a civilization that spans the galaxy?" Velkoth's grin widened. "Those scattered metal ships of yours are already a concern. Primitive kinetic weapons, nuclear reactors that leak radiation, clumsy faster-than-light engines that tear holes in subspace like a child ripping paper. You do not even understand the damage you cause with your crude technology." The jellyfish-like alien continued. "The Concordat has reached a decision. Humanity will remain confined to the Sol system. Your 12 ships will return to Earth immediately. Any human vessel detected beyond the heliopause will be considered an act of aggression and dealt with accordingly." "You cannot be serious," Captain Mitchell said, stepping forward before Elena could stop her. "You are putting us under house arrest?" Our entire species. We call it protective quarantine, Velkoth replied. Consider yourselves fortunate. The Zrathi voted to simply eliminate your species before you became a problem. The council overruled us, for now. The commander's eyes gleamed with something that might have been disappointment. You have one of your months to recall all human vessels. After that, any ship we find will be destroyed. This is not a negotiation. This is a warning. Elena's mind raced, trying to find words, arguments, anything that might change their minds. Please, give us a chance. Send observers to Earth. See what we have become. Test us. There must be some way we can prove ourselves worthy of joining the galactic community. The jellyfish alien's lights flickered in a pattern that suggested sadness. Perhaps in a few thousand years, young humans. If you survive that long, if you do not destroy yourselves first. The screen flickered and went dark. The Concordate ships remained for another hour, their sensors scanning every inch of the Endeavor's hope as if cataloging a museum piece. Then without ceremony they vanished as suddenly as they had appeared, leaving the human vessel alone in the darkness. The bridge was silent. Every crew member stared at their stations, processing what had just happened. Humanity's first contact with alien life, and they had been judged, found wanting, and dismissed like children. Elena turned to Captain Mitchell. Get me a secure channel to Earth, priority 1. The Secretary General needs to hear this immediately. Already on it, Ambassador, Mitchell replied, her fingers flying across her console. Then she paused and looked up. What do we do now? Elena looked out at the stars, at the vast universe that had just been declared off limits to her entire species. We go home. We tell them what happened, and then... She paused, remembering the dismissive tone in Velkoth's voice, the casual threat of destruction. Then we let the people who really make decisions figure out our next move. On Earth, the emergency meeting was already beginning. Leaders from every nation gathered in Geneva, listening to the recording of the first contact with expressions ranging from shock to anger to fear. But in a secure facility deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, a different group of people listened to the same recording with very different reactions. Admiral James Chen, commander of Earth's Deep Space Defense Initiative, leaned back in his chair and allowed himself a small smile. Around the conference table, his counterparts from other nations showed similar expressions. They had prepared for this scenario. They had hoped it would not come to pass, but they had prepared nonetheless. Gentlemen, ladies, Chen said quietly, I believe it is time to activate Protocol Heimdall. Let's show our new neighbors that they have made a very poor assessment of humanity's capabilities. In the outer solar system, beyond Neptune's orbit, hidden facilities that had been built in secret over the past 50 years began to wake up. Thousands of workers, sworn to secrecy, received coded messages and began their work. Shipyards the size of cities hummed to life. Weapon systems that made nuclear warheads look like firecrackers powered up for the first time. Humanity had been preparing for hostile first contact since the first UFO sightings of the 20th century. The governments of Earth had hoped for peace but planned for war. And now it seemed that planning was about to pay off. The Galactic Concordate had made their first mistake. They had underestimated humanity. Soon, they would learn the cost of that error. 6 months had passed since the humiliation at Alpha Centauri. To the watching eyes of the Galactic Concordate, humanity appeared to have accepted their place. The 12 exploration vessels had returned to Earth as ordered. The solar system's borders remained quiet. Humanity seemed to understand that they were confined to their home, at least for now. But appearances could be deceiving. Commander Velkoth stood in the central chamber of the Concordate Council Station, a massive structure that orbited between 3 stars in the Tyrian system. Around him, holographic projections showed representatives from 47 different species, each one a member of the Great Alliance that had kept peace in the galaxy for 10,000 years. The human problem persists, Velkoth announced, his scales rippling with irritation. Our scouts report small vessels appearing near our borders. They claim to be merchants, traders seeking to exchange goods with nearby systems. But we know the truth. They are testing us, probing our defenses. A bird-like alien with feathers that shimmered like oil on water chirped in response. They are curious, nothing more. Young species always push boundaries. Give them time, and they will settle into their confinement. Time? Velkoth's voice rose. How much time? 100 years? 1,000? Meanwhile, They continue to develop their primitive weapons, continue to spread their aggressive culture. I say we should act now, before they become a real threat. The jellyfish representative from the first contact floated in its tank projection. The council voted against aggressive action. Humanity has not violated our ultimatum. They have remained within their system. These merchant vessels are legal under concordant law. Any species may trade, even those not granted full membership. Velkoth hissed in frustration. Those ships are gathering intelligence. Any fool can see that. They map our stations, record our patrol routes, study our technology. This is not innocent commerce. Then what do you propose? Asked a crystalline being whose body refracted light into rainbow patterns. We cannot attack them for suspicious behavior. The Concordat is built on law, not paranoia. The Zrathi commander's eyes gleamed. The humans have a new colony. Tauseti system. They call it New Horizon. It is beyond the Sol system boundary. A clear violation of our restrictions. I propose we enforce the quarantine. Destroy this illegal colony. Show them that we meant what we said. A murmur of discussion rippled through the council. Some species voiced concern, others agreement. Finally, the elder representative, a being so old its species name was lost to time, spoke from its place of honor. The colony was established before our ultimatum was delivered. Technically, it does not violate our terms. However, we did say humanity must remain within Sol. The council must decide, do we enforce the boundary strictly, or do we allow this single exception? The vote was close, but in the end the aggressive faction won. The Zrathi were given permission to take action, though with restrictions. They could remove the colony, but they must offer the humans time to evacuate. No unnecessary deaths. This was to be a demonstration of power, not a massacre. Velkoth was satisfied. It was not everything he wanted, but it was a start. He would lead the fleet personally. 200 warships, a force capable of cracking planets. The humans would learn their lesson. 3 weeks later, the Concordat Armada arrived in the Tau Ceti system. The tactical display showed the colony on the 4th planet, a small settlement of perhaps 10,000 humans. Orbital stations surrounded it, along with mining operations on the system's asteroid belt. Defensive fleet detected, his tactical officer reported. 20 human frigates. They are moving to intercept. Velkoth laughed, the sound echoing through the command bridge of his flagship. 20 ships against 200? Are they insane or simply stupid? He opened a communication channel. Human vessels, you are ordered to stand down and evacuate your illegal colony. You have 12 of your hours to comply. After that, we will take action. The response came quickly. A human face appeared on screen, an older man with gray hair and calm eyes that seemed far too confident given the situation. This is Admiral James Chen of the Earth Defense Forces. Commander Velkoth, I recognize you from the records. You're the one who called us primitives. I called you what you are, Velkoth replied. Now move aside. Your 20 little ships cannot hope to stand against the might of the Concordat. Do not make this a tragedy. Chen smiled, and something about that smile made Velkoth's scales prickle with unexpected unease. You're right about one thing. Our 20 ships here cannot stop you. But you've made a terrible mistake, Commander. You've walked right into a trap. Trap? Velkoth almost laughed again. You cannot trap a fleet of this size. You barely have weapons that can damage our shields. Your kinetic weapons are— You talk too much, Chen interrupted, his smile widening. All ships, light them up. For a moment nothing happened. Then the tactical display went insane. Energy signatures blazed to life throughout the Tau Ceti system. Dozens, then hundreds of contacts appeared on the sensors. Behind asteroids, concealed near the system's outer planets, hidden in the debris field of a shattered moon, human warships revealed themselves. But these were not the small frigates the Concordat had expected. These were massive vessels, dreadnoughts and carriers that dwarfed even Velkoth's flagship. Their hulls were painted in dark colors that made them nearly invisible against the black of space. Advanced stealth systems dropped away, revealing weapons arrays that covered every surface. Impossible, Velkoth whispered. Where did they come from? His tactical officer's voice shook. Sir, I count over 600 human vessels. Correction, 700. 800. They are still appearing, Commander. They were here all along, hiding. Our sensors never detected them. The 20 human frigates that had seemed so outmatched suddenly split apart, no longer retreating but moving into attack formation. Behind them, the massive carriers began launching fighters. Not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands of small craft that swarmed through space like angry insects. Chen's face remained on screen, his expression calm. You see, Commander, humanity has been preparing for this moment for a very long time, since before we even achieved faster-than-light travel. We knew that when we reached the stars we might find friends. But we also knew we might find enemies. So we prepared. This is a trick, Velkoth snarled, but his voice lacked confidence. Some kind of holographic projection. You cannot have built so many ships in secret, can't we? Chen leaned back in his chair. Your scouts were watching Earth, our home planet. But you never thought to look at the rest of our solar system, did you? You never wondered what we were doing on Jupiter's moons, or in the asteroid belt, or in the vast darkness beyond Neptune's orbit. We had 50 years, Commander. 50 years of building in secret. 50 years of preparing for exactly this scenario. The human fleet began moving, their formations precise and coordinated. The smaller frigates engaged first, their railguns opening fire. The Concordat had dismissed these weapons as primitive, but the humans had clearly improved the design. Projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed hammered into Concordat shields. And to Velkoth's shock, those shields began to fail. How? He demanded. Your weapons should not be able to penetrate our defenses. Kinetic energy is kinetic energy, Chen replied. You use energy shields. Very advanced, very impressive. But our railguns fire solid projectiles designed to punch through asteroid cores during mining operations. Mass times velocity, Commander. Simple physics. Your shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not hypervelocity solid matter moving at a significant percentage of light speed. The human carriers had reached optimal range. Their fighter swarms descended on the Concordat fleet like locusts. Each small craft carried missiles and lasers, darting between the larger ships with incredible agility. They were too small and too numerous to target effectively. They are using drones, his tactical officer reported. Artificial intelligence controls. No living pilots to worry about. They can pull maneuvers that would kill any biological being. Velkoth's mind raced. This was not how it was supposed to go. They outnumbered the humans. They had superior technology. How were they losing? One of his escorts exploded, its reactor breached by a sustained railgun barrage. Then another. The human dreadnoughts were advancing now, their massive gun batteries tracking targets with terrifying accuracy. Each shot was carefully calculated, targeting weak points in the Concordat ship's armor. All ships, return fire, Velkoth ordered. Destroy them. The Concordat fleet responded, their energy weapons lancing through space. Some human ships took damage, their armor glowing red-hot under the assault. But there were so many of them, and they fought with a coordination that suggested they had trained for this exact battle for years. Chen's voice cut through the chaos. Commander Velkoth, I am offering you one chance to withdraw. Leave this system now and we will not pursue. Stay and we will destroy your entire fleet. The choice is yours. Never, Velkoth roared. The Concordat does not retreat from primitives. Your choice, Chen said quietly, and his image disappeared from the screen. The battle intensified. More Concordat ships fell, their hulls torn apart by weapons that should not have been able to harm them. The human fleet pressed their advantage, their tactics revealing decades of study and play. The news of the defeat at Tau Ceti spread through the Galactic Concordat like wildfire through a dry forest. For the first time in recorded history, a fleet of 200 Concordat warships had been defeated. Not just defeated, but crushed. Out of those 200 ships, only 73 had escaped. The rest were destroyed or captured. The council chambers erupted into chaos. This is impossible, screamed the Vryn representative, their insectoid body vibrating with agitation. The humans have only had faster-than-light travel for 2 of their years. How could they have built such a fleet? The jellyfish representative pulsed with dark colors. We underestimated them. We assumed their visible fleet represented their total capabilities. We were wrong. Wrong. Velkoth stood in the center of the chamber, his scales dark with shame. He had survived the battle, but his pride had not. We were blind. The humans played us from the beginning. Those merchant vessels were not just gathering intelligence. They were positioning forces. Every system we thought was secure had human ships hidden nearby. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber, showing the tactical data from the Tau Ceti battle. The council members watched in silence as the human fleet revealed itself. Hundreds of warships appearing from nowhere, their weapons tearing through concordant defenses. "Freeze that image," ordered the Elder, the ancient being who rarely spoke. "Look at those vessels. Those are not ships built in a few years. Those dreadnoughts, those carriers. They would take decades to construct even with advanced technology." A reptilian analyst stepped forward. "Our intelligence division has completed their report. The humans did not build this fleet recently. According to our best estimates, they have been constructing these vessels for at least 50 standard years, possibly longer." 50 years? The bird-like alien ruffled its feathers in agitation. "But they did not even have fusion power 50 years ago." "They did not have it publicly," the analyst corrected. "Our investigation suggests that human governments began classified military projects as far back as their 20th century. After they developed nuclear weapons, they created secret organizations dedicated to preparing for extraterrestrial contact. When they finally achieved fusion power and faster-than-light travel, these secret projects accelerated dramatically." Another display appeared, showing the human solar system. Red markers began appearing throughout the system, spreading from Earth to the outer planets and beyond. "This is what we found when we conducted a thorough scan of the Sol system," the analyst continued. "Facilities on Earth's moon, manufacturing complexes in the asteroid belt, massive shipyards hidden in the orbits of Jupiter and Saturn, construction platforms beyond Neptune that are larger than most of our space stations. The humans have industrialized their entire solar system in secret." The council members stared in shocked silence. The scale of what they were seeing was staggering. It represented not years but decades of work, an entire civilization mobilizing for a single purpose. "Why?" asked the crystalline being. "Why would they dedicate so much of their resources to building a war fleet? They had not even met us yet." Admiral Chen's message began playing on the displays. His face appeared calm and serious. "Members of the Galactic Concordat, by now you have received reports of what happened at Tau Ceti. You are probably wondering how we managed to build such a fleet in secret. The answer is simple. We have been expecting you for a very long time." Chen stood and walked toward a window showing Earth behind him. "In the year 1947, something happened on our world. Strange objects were seen in our skies. We did not know what they were, but we knew they were not ours. From that moment on, our governments began preparing for the day when we would meet whoever was watching us." The view changed, showing archived footage from human history, ancient radar installations, underground bunkers, scientists working on strange technology. "We knew that when we finally reached the stars we would meet other civilizations. We hoped they would be friendly. We prayed they would be peaceful. But we prepared for the possibility that they would not be. Every nation on Earth contributed. We pooled our knowledge, our resources, our determination. We built weapons and ships that we hoped we would never need to use." More footage appeared, massive construction projects in space, huge vessels being assembled in the darkness beyond the outer planets, weapons being tested on distant asteroids. We studied our own history and learned from it. Humanity has fought thousands of wars. We have made every possible mistake in combat. We have learned every lesson there is to learn about strategy, tactics, and survival. When you dismissed us as primitive, you forgot that primitive does not mean stupid, and violent does not mean incapable. Chen's expression hardened. "You threatened us. You confined us to our home system like prisoners. You mocked our technology and called us unworthy. You judged us without trying to understand us. And when we placed a colony beyond your arbitrary boundary, you sent a fleet to destroy it. You forced our hand." The view returned to Chen's face. "We are not seeking war with the Concordat, but we will not accept being caged. We will not allow you to dictate where humans can or cannot go. The galaxy is vast and there is room for all of us. But if you insist on treating us as enemies, then we will show you what humans do to their enemies." The message ended. The council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Finally, the Elder spoke. "How many ships do they have?" The analyst checked their data. "Based on the Tau Ceti engagement and subsequent intelligence, we estimate the human military fleet numbers between 2,000 and 3,000 vessels of various sizes. Possibly more. They have been launching new ships continuously from their hidden shipyards. 3,000 ships," someone whispered. "That is more than the entire Zrathi Armada." Belkoth's scales rippled with a mix of anger and something that might have been respect. They were hiding this capability the entire time. When we met them at Alpha Centauri, they already had this fleet. They allowed us to threaten them. They played weak. It is a human strategy, the analyst explained. From their own military history, they call it letting the enemy overextend. We thought we were dealing with a weak species with a dozen exploration ships. Instead, we were facing a military power that rivals any in the Concordat. A new message arrived, this time marked urgent. The analyst opened it and their expression changed to one of alarm. Council members, we are receiving reports from across Concordat space. Human fleets have appeared in 7 different systems simultaneously. They are not attacking, but they have taken up positions near our major trade routes and military installations. Another display activated, showing a map of Concordat territory. Red markers indicated human fleet positions. They were everywhere, positioned to strike at critical points throughout the Concordat's infrastructure. When did they move those ships into position? Demanded the Vryn representative. We do not know. Our sensors never detected them. Either their stealth technology is far more advanced than we believed, or they have been positioning these forces over several months, hidden and waiting. The elder leaned forward in its ancient seat. Show me the analysis of their weapons technology. More data appeared. Technical specifications of human railguns, their missile systems, their energy shields, their faster-than-light drives. The council members read the reports with growing concern. Their railgun technology is crude but effective, the analyst summarized. They use brute force rather than elegance. A solid projectile accelerated to tremendous velocity. Simple physics but devastatingly effective against our energy-based defenses. Our shields were designed to deflect or absorb energy weapons. They are far less effective against solid matter. What about their other systems? Their faster-than-light drives are less efficient than ours, but they work. Their energy shields are weaker, but adequate. Their missiles use artificial intelligence for guidance and can operate independently. They have also deployed thousands of combat drones, small craft with no living pilots. These drones can perform maneuvers that would kill any biological being. The crystalline being studied the data carefully. These are not the weapons of a primitive species. These are the weapons of a civilization that has spent decades, perhaps centuries, perfecting the art of war. That is because they have, the analyst confirmed. Human history is filled with conflict. They have fought each other constantly. Their last global war ended less than a century ago and killed millions. They have studied warfare intensely, because they have had to. Every tactic in their military doctrine was learned through actual combat. Velkoth spoke again, his voice quiet. I have reviewed the battle records. The way they fought at Tau Ceti, the coordination, the tactics, the precision. They knew exactly what they were doing. Every move was calculated. They have wargamed this scenario 1,000 times. We have a decision to make, the elder said. The humans have proven they are not the weak primitives we believed them to be. They have a military force capable of challenging the entire Concordat. They have demonstrated both their capability and their will. The Concordat Council had been debating for 3 days without reaching a decision. Some species wanted peace, others demanded war, and most simply wanted answers. How had they missed this threat? How had an entire civilization prepared for war under their very noses? The answer came in the worst possible way. A distress signal reached the council chambers from the Hevron system, home to one of the Concordat's largest military shipyards. The message was brief and terrifying. Human ships had appeared without warning and were attacking the facility. By the time reinforcements could arrive, it would be too late. Within an hour, 3 more systems sent similar messages. Human fleets striking simultaneously at military targets across Concordat space. The attacks were precise and coordinated, hitting fuel depots, shipyards, and command stations while carefully avoiding civilian populations. They are dismantling our military infrastructure, the Vryn representative buzzed in alarm. While we debate, they are cutting out our ability to fight back. The elder reviewed the tactical reports with ancient eyes that had seen 10,000 years of peace. This is not random aggression. Look at their targets. Only military installations. No civilian casualties reported. They are not trying to conquer us. They are trying to cripple our ability to threaten them. Is there a difference? Velkoth snarled. They are attacking Concordat territory. This is war. Yes, agreed the jellyfish representative. But it is a war we started. We threatened them first. We sent you with 200 ships to destroy their colony. They are simply responding with overwhelming force. More reports flooded in. The human attacks were devastatingly effective. They would appear from nowhere, strike their targets with precision weapons, and disappear before Concordat forces could respond. Their stealth technology made them nearly impossible to track. But it was not just the military installations that fell. Something else was happening across concordate space. Something that shook the very foundation of the Alliance. A delegation from the Thelian species arrived at the council chambers. Their blue-skinned faces set in determination. The Thelians were one of the smaller members of the Concordat, a peaceful species known for their skill in medicine and science rather than warfare. "We have received a message from the humans," their representative announced. "They have offered us a separate peace. If we withdraw from the military alliance against them, they will guarantee our safety and open trade negotiations." The council chamber erupted in chaos. "Separate peace? That violates the Concordat Charter, does it?" the Thelian asked calmly. "The charter says we must defend each other from external threats. But the humans were not a threat until we made them one. They offered peace from the beginning. We refused. Now they offer it again, but only to those who are willing to listen." Over the next week, 5 more species accepted humanity's offer. They were all smaller members of the Concordat, species that had little to gain from war and much to lose. The great alliance that had maintained peace for 10,000 years was fracturing. The Zarathi Empire, proud and aggressive, mobilized their entire fleet. If the council would not act decisively, then they would. 300 Zarathi warships, their most powerful vessels, gathered in the Dracon system and prepared to strike at Earth itself. Commander Velkoth, stripped of his rank after the Tau Ceti disaster, but still permitted to fight, watched from his new posting on a destroyer as the massive fleet prepared to jump. This time they would not underestimate the humans. This time they would bring overwhelming force. "All ships report ready," the fleet admiral announced. "Target Sol system human homeworld. We will show these primitives the true power of the Zarathi. We will burn their world to ash." The fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel, crossing the vast distance to Earth in mere hours. They emerged at the edge of the Sol system, weapons hot and shields at maximum. They expected to find human defenses. They expected a battle. What they found was far worse. The tactical displays lit up with contacts. Thousands of them. Human warships surrounded the Zarathi fleet in every direction, a sphere of firepower that completely encircled them. "They had jumped straight into a trap. How many?" the admiral whispered. 4,000 ships, sir," the tactical officer reported, his voice shaking. "Maybe more. They fill every scanner. They were waiting for us." A communication came through. Admiral Chen's face appeared on every screen in the Zarathi fleet. "Welcome to Sol System, Zarathi fleet. As you can see, we were expecting you. Your battle plans were transmitted to us 3 days ago by one of your own officers who decided that dying for pride was not worth the price." The admiral's scales turned dark with rage. "Betrayal!" "Who dares? Does it matter?" Chen asked. "You came here to destroy Earth, to kill billions of humans because your pride was wounded. Did you really think we would not prepare for this? Did you think we would leave our homeworld undefended?" Around the Zarathi fleet, the human ships moved into attack formation. Weapon batteries tracked the Zarathi vessels with machine precision. Missile tubes opened. "Railguns charged. You have one chance," Chen said quietly. "Surrender your fleet. Your crews will be treated well and returned to the Concordat. Refuse and every single one of your ships will be destroyed. I will not give you time to debate. You have 60 seconds to decide." The Zarathi admiral looked at his tactical display, at the impossible number of human ships that surrounded his fleet. He thought of the 300 vessels under his command, the finest ships the Zarathi Empire had ever built. He thought of the crews aboard them, warriors who had trained their entire lives for battle. And he thought of the ruins at Tau Ceti, where 200 Concordat ships had been torn apart by human weapons. "All ships," he said, his voice heavy with defeat. "Power down weapons. Extend surrender protocols." It was the first time in Zarathi history that an entire fleet had surrendered without firing a shot. Across Concordat space, the news of the Zarathi surrender spread even faster than the news of Tau Ceti. The Zarathi, the most warlike and aggressive species in the Concordat, had been defeated without a fight. Their entire fleet captured intact. Species that had been considering joining the war against humanity suddenly reconsidered. The Concordat's unity was crumbling. On a captured Concordat station that humans had taken 3 days earlier, Velkoth sat in a detention cell, watching news feeds with a mix of emotions he could not name. Shame at his defeat, anger at human superiority. but also something else. Something that felt almost like respect. A human guard approached his cell. "Someone to see you, Commander." Admiral Chen entered, carrying 2 containers of what appeared to be a hot beverage. "I brought tea," he said, offering one to Velkoth. "On Earth, it is traditional to share a drink with a defeated enemy." A sign of respect. Velkoth took the container suspiciously. "Why, you have defeated us. Why show respect?" Chen sat down across from him. "Because you were doing what you thought was right. Protecting your civilization from what you saw as a threat. I do not agree with your methods, but I understand your motivation." He sipped his own tea. "We are not monsters, Commander. We are not interested in conquest or revenge. We simply want to be free to explore the galaxy without someone telling us we cannot." "You have torn the Concordat apart," Velkoth said bitterly. 10,000 years of peace shattered in weeks. "The Concordat tore itself apart," Chen corrected. "By refusing to treat us as equals. By threatening us when we only wanted to talk. By attacking our colony when we only wanted to exist. You forced this war, Commander. We simply chose to fight it on our terms." Velkoth was silent for a long moment. "What happens now?" "Now we negotiate. The Council has finally agreed to talks. Real talks, not ultimatums. Some species have already made peace with us separately. Others are still deciding." "And the Zrathi?" Chen met Velkoth's eyes. "Your people have a choice. You can continue to fight a war you cannot win. Or you can accept that humanity is here to stay and learn to live with us. And if we choose to keep fighting, then we will keep defeating you until you understand that you cannot win. We do not want to destroy the Zrathi. We do not want to destroy any of the Concordat species. But we will if we must. Humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and nuclear weapons. We have stared extinction in the face more times than I can count. We are very, very good at surviving." Chen stood to leave. "Think about it, Commander. Think about what you saw at Tau Ceti. Think about what happened to your fleet at Sol. Then ask yourself if Zrathi pride is worth continuing this war." After Chen left, Velkoth sat in his cell for hours thinking. He had spent his entire life believing the Zrathi were the strongest warriors in the galaxy. He had believed that might made right, that the strong should rule the weak. But the humans had taught him a difficult lesson. They had been preparing for war while appearing weak. They had studied their enemies while seeming primitive. They had built an empire in secret while the Concordat watched Earth and saw nothing. For the first time in his life, Velkoth questioned everything he believed. Meanwhile, on Earth, crowds gathered in cities around the world to watch the news. Humanity had faced down the entire Galactic Concordat and won. Their secret fleets, hidden for decades, had proven their worth. The galaxy knew now that humans were not to be underestimated. But Admiral Chen stood alone on the bridge of his flagship, looking at Earth 3 months after the Zrathi surrender. The Concordat Council chambers looked very different. The Grand Hall that had hosted debates for 10,000 years now included a new section, hastily constructed but prominent. It was marked with the flag of Earth, a blue and white representation of humanity's homeworld. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood in that new section, looking out at the assembled representatives of 47 alien species. The last time she had been in a room like this, she had been begging for humanity's acceptance. Today she was here to dictate terms. The mood in the chamber was tense. Some species looked angry, others defeated, a few actually curious. The jellyfish representative pulsed with what might have been sadness. The Vryn buzzed nervously. And in the section reserved for the Zrathi Empire, Commander Velkoth sat with his scales a neutral gray, his expression unreadable. The elder called the session to order. "We gather today to formally acknowledge what has become clear to all. Humanity will not be confined. Humanity will not be dismissed. Humanity has proven through strength of arms what they could not prove through words. They have earned the right to be heard." Elena stepped forward. "Members of the Concordat, I stand before you not as a supplicant begging for acceptance, but as a representative of a sovereign species claiming its rightful place in the galaxy. When we first met, you judged us. You found us wanting. You threatened us and confined us. You believed that because we were younger and less technologically advanced, we had nothing to offer and posed only a threat." She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various delegates. "You were wrong, not because we are better than you, but because you never gave us a chance to prove what we could be. You saw our history of war and assumed we were savages. You never considered that a species that has survived countless conflicts, might have learned valuable lessons from those experiences. The bird-like alien ruffled its feathers. You attacked our installations. You destroyed our ships. You call us wrong, but you were the ones who brought war to the galaxy. No, Elena said firmly. You brought war when you sent 200 ships to destroy our colony. You brought war when you gave us an ultimatum without even trying to understand us. We simply chose not to be victims. She pulled up a holographic display. These are the casualties from the conflict. Concordat military, 15,000 dead, 40,000 wounded. Human military, 8,000 dead, 22,000 wounded. Civilian casualties on both sides, 0. The numbers hung in the air. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably. We could have targeted your civilian populations, Elena continued. We could have destroyed your homeworlds. We had the capability. And after you threatened Earth, we would have had the justification. But we did not. Every strike was against military targets. Every attack was designed to minimize loss of life. Because despite what you believe about us, humans understand the value of life. All life, not just our own. Admiral Chen appeared on the display beside Elena. The Concordat judged humanity based on our past. You saw centuries of warfare and assumed we had learned nothing except how to kill. But you were wrong. We learned how to fight, yes, but we also learned the cost of fighting. We learned that war should always be the last option, never the first. We learned that true strength is not just the ability to destroy your enemies, but the wisdom to turn them into allies. A new set of images appeared, showing human facilities throughout the solar system. For 50 years we prepared for the possibility of hostile first contact. We built ships in secret. We developed weapons. We created strategies for fighting an enemy with superior technology. We did all of this while hoping we would never need it, but we also did something else. The images changed, showing research facilities, universities, cultural centers. We studied philosophy, ethics, and diplomacy. We learned from our mistakes. We built a unified world government that represented all of humanity, not just the powerful nations. We achieved global peace not through conquest but through cooperation. We learned to see beyond our differences and work toward common goals. Elena spoke again. The Concordat is built on a foundation of peace maintained through superior technology and military might. You keep order by being the strongest force in the galaxy, but humans learned a different lesson from our history. True peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of justice and mutual respect. The crystalline being spoke up, its voice like chimes. Beautiful words. But they do not change what has happened. The Concordat is fractured. 5 species have made separate peace with you. Others are considering it. 10,000 years of unity. Broken. The Concordat was already broken, Chen responded. It was broken when you decided that some species deserved freedom and others deserved confinement. It was broken when you believed that age and technology made you superior. We did not break the Concordat. We simply revealed the cracks that were already there. The elder raised a hand for silence. Enough. We are not here to debate the past. We are here to determine the future. Humanity has demonstrated both the capability and the willingness to stand against the entire Concordat. Further conflict would be costly for all sides, so I asked directly Ambassador Vasquez, what does humanity want? Elena took a deep breath. This was the moment everything had been leading to. We want what we asked for from the beginning. Recognition as a sovereign species with the right to explore and settle wherever we choose. Full membership in the Concordat with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. Access to Concordat trade networks and scientific exchanges. And most importantly, we want respect. That is all? The Vrin seemed surprised. That is everything, Elena replied. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We do not want to conquer your worlds or enslave your species. We simply want the freedom to exist and grow without someone else deciding our fate for us. Is that really so much to ask? Velkoth stood slowly. All eyes turned to him. The Zrathi had been silent throughout the proceedings, still reeling from the humiliation of their fleet's surrender. The Zrathi Empire has discussed this matter extensively, he began, his voice formal. For centuries we believed that might made right, that the strong should dominate the weak. Humans taught us a valuable lesson. They taught us that underestimating your opponent is the greatest weakness of all. He looked at Elena, then at Chen's image. The Zrathi vote to accept humanity's terms. Furthermore, we propose that Commander Velkoth be assigned as a liaison to the human military, to facilitate better understanding between our species. The chamber erupted in surprised murmurs. Velkoth, the commander who had led the attack on Tau Ceti, volunteering to work with humans? Elena smiled slightly. On behalf of humanity, we accept Commander Velkoth as a liaison. We believe that those who have fought each other often make the best teachers for peace. One by one, the other species voiced their positions. Some grudgingly, others with genuine warmth, but all ultimately agreed. Humanity would join the Concordat as a full member. The confinement was lifted. The quarantine was over. The formal ceremonies took hours. Treaties were signed. Agreements were made. Trade routes were opened. And throughout it all, Elena felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had claimed its place among the stars. But as the official proceedings concluded and delegates began to depart, Elena found herself standing beside Velkoth. The Zrati commander was examining the human flag with what might have been curiosity. "Why a world?" he asked, gesturing to the image of Earth on the flag. "Most species choose symbols of power. Weapons or stars or abstract concepts of strength. You choose your homeworld. Because Earth is what we are fighting for," Elena explained. "Not conquest, not glory, not power. Home. The right to protect what we love and to grow beyond it. That blue sphere represents everything we are and everything we hope to become." Velkoth was quiet for a moment. "I underestimated you. At Alpha Centauri, I thought you were weak creatures pretending to be brave. I was a fool." "You were not a fool," Elena said gently. "You simply did not have all the information. None of you did. We kept secrets because we had to. But now?" She gestured around the chamber. "Now we can be honest. Now we can work together, can we?" Velkoth's eyes met hers. "My people attacked your colony. We would have destroyed it if you had not stopped us. How can you forgive that? Because you were doing what you thought was right just as we did. And because holding grudges benefits no one." Elena smiled. "Besides, humans have a saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. By making you our liaison, we get to keep an eye on you while you keep an eye on us. Everyone wins." Despite himself, Velkoth made the Zrathi equivalent of a laugh. "You are a clever species, dangerous in your intelligence. We prefer the term strategic." On Earth, the news of humanity's acceptance into the Concordat was met with massive celebrations. Cities around the world erupted in parties. People danced in the streets, waved flags, and celebrated the beginning of a new era. Humanity was no longer alone. Humanity was part of something larger. But in a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Chen stood before a very different gathering. Military commanders from every nation on Earth watched him weigh.